Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is a nonsense guide to the Citadelle Day More Easter egg. Let's begin. Actually, before we begin, pay me. Just send me money. Donate to me now. Subscribe to me. Drop a like on the video as well. Buy my merch. Buy your mum my merch. Actually, no, she's already bought it. Buy your dad my merch. Okay, that'll do for now. Let's begin. As we all know, this map starts down in the town, and you then have to fight your way up to the hill where the castle is. So you're going to want to do that in your game, but crucially, when you get to the top of the hill, you need to avoid going in the castle straight away, and instead, you need to get rid of your primary weapon in this yellow box. This is what basically starts the Easter egg quest on this map, because it's really about pacifism. And the next step of the Easter egg is to come over to this statue and hold square on it to listen to some audio.
Hello there, little adventurer. My name is Lady Carcass. Basically, I was being attacked by an angry king called Charlemagne, and so I took a pig, and then I fed my pig some little bits of wheat to make him nice and chubby, and then I took him up to the top of my tower, and I kicked him off. When Charlemagne saw this, he ran away, and I rang the bells in the town to celebrate. But why am I telling you this? Well, to me, you just look like my little pig, you know? Okay, bye-bye.
So that's the story of Lady Carcass, who was a famous pacifist who didn't exist. And there's actually some clues in there from her story that we're going to use through the rest of the Easter egg. And the first clue is that the pig in that story is you. The next thing to do is to cross the bridge and enter the castle, and you'll know that you've started the Easter egg correctly if this pillar rises in front of you as you enter. That's basically your indicator that you're on the right track. Once you get in the castle, just go straight on down this path, and you'll come to a clock or a sundial that's mounted on the wall. You need to read whatever the number is on the sundial and remember it for later. Now, I know that some people have some trouble with this in their games because it depends where you're standing, which number you see because of perspective. So I usually come against this little rusty triangle, and then I line up my character's crosshair with the sundial, and that lets me read it correctly every single time. So that's the first number that we need. We now need 2 more numbers. So if you continue down the road to the left there, you'll come across this town square, and you'll notice straight away that the notices on that bullet-in board are way too bright and new for them to just be part of the scenery. And that's because they're an Easter egg item. So go over to them and look for the price of soup. That's your second number. And with those 2 numbers, we can now go over to this door here, which is in the main market square. And by holding square in the market square, you can unlock a snack to feed the pig, which again is you, remember. Then that door on the right-hand side has a set of keys sitting in the lock. So open the door up, make sure to shut it behind you because you're a gentleman, right? Or maybe you're a lady, but whichever or whatever you may be, you've got manners, right? That's the important thing here, or at least I hope you do. So once you've shut the door, head up the stairs, and then when you get to the top, you'll be sort of stun-locked in this door opening animation. And I know it's tempting here to look to the side of you and activate the Mr. Peaks headphones, but you don't actually want to do that. That's gonna fail the Easter egg. And instead what you need to do is come over here and grab this battery pack. You'll be able to put it straight in your inventory, then take a left and head out onto the balcony in this room. At this point, the game is automatically going to give you an LDBR, and you need to pull out that LDBR and aim it between these 2 houses. Now, I've got to say, these devs were so lazy making these houses the exact same model. Like, copy-pasting code is so ridiculous. I think Treyarch really needs to fire whoever did this. It's absolutely awful, and yeah, it's evidence that the devs really are lazy after all. We've all been vindicated after all this time. Now, the reason we're calling in that LDBR in the distance is because it's going to make birds migrate in the area, just like how the barbarians migrated to the castle and overthrew the Roman peace that had been going on for hundreds of years and set in motion the events that would later become the Albigensian Crusade, which wasn't a typical crusade at all because it was French Christians fighting against French Christians in what can essentially be described as a civil war, which inspired the 2016 classic Captain France Civil War to be produced by Marvel Studios. Anyway, back to the more important protagonist, you. You now need to exit the house and then head back outside the castle grounds. Out there, so long as you've done the LDBR correctly, you'll now have birds migrated over to this part of the map, and specifically if you walk along this grassy path, you should see one fly across your vision, and it will flutter a couple of times in front of you as you walk towards it. Now, do not attack the bird. Remember, this is a pacifist run, and eventually the bird is going to settle somewhere, and it's then going to fly across your vision again back to the wall here, and that's a sign that you can stop chasing it and instead just go over to wherever it settled previously, and you should be able to find a roll of money on the floor, which you can pick up. Next, make your way over to the Basilica and then start heading up this path. And I'm just using the Basilica as a reference here because it's really easy to find on the map. And then walk all the way up that path and you should be able to find a small well. Now, I'd recommend having a teammate hold zombies for you here, or just make a crawler and ensure that it's fairly far away from you. You then need to go and hold square on the well, and it's going to begin an animation of you inhaling the fumes from inside the well. Now, this animation takes a while, and that's not your fault, okay? You don't just have weak, noodly arms or something, and that's causing it to take longer than it should. It's designed this way. Because when was the last time that great reward came from no sacrifice, hey? When was the last time that someone else carried the boats and you got the credit? When was the last time you saw someone else inhaling something, but you were the one that started to feel warm and fuzzy inside? Yeah, it doesn't work that way, does it? If you were a truffle pig and you were rootling around trying to find your truffles and you had two industrial-sized plungers stuck in both your nostrils, you wouldn't be very good at it, would you? Because you've got to be the one doing the inhaling. And so, as this map's chosen truffle pigs, that's exactly what we're gonna do. And you can look over your shoulders during this, so that's nice. But because there is a bug in the game where prioritize interact controller scheme causes you to be stuck on the bombs during the bomb defusal step of Apocalypse Protocol in the Terminus map that Treyarch refuses to fix, you unfortunately are also screwed here, but only if you're using that interact setting, so just be careful. Eventually, the animation will complete, and, I mean, you've done a lot of inhaling here, so you'll pass out and a cutscene will play. When you wake up in your game, it'll spawn you in facing this slope, but if you look to your right or to your left, you'll see that there are alternative paths. Do not go up that front slope. It's tempting you in that direction, but you actually just need to go in either of the other two directions, and this is metaphorical and symbolic of the idea that sometimes the easiest path in life isn't always the correct one. So follow that path, and it will then spit you out in front of this billettery shop, and you need to go in there by holding square on the door, and then shutting the door behind you because you've got manners, remember? And then entering the queue. At this point, if another player is doing the Easter egg, because this game is always online, there can only be one person doing the next step at a time. And so this is a literal server queue, and you will only be able to get to the front once someone else has finished. And if you don't like it, then that's your fault for buying an always online game. Once you get to the front, you need to complete a microtransaction. This is going to take money out of your wallet, because why the hell did you think you'd be able to play this game for free once you bought it? Are you dumb? But the transaction's only going to be possible if you picked up the money from the pigeon earlier. By paying, you'll get a single-use access pass to the Easter egg, and if the idea of that upsets you, cry some more. You've been buying COD points for years and spending them on silly skins, so this was always the future that you were writing for yourself. Once you've purchased your single-use ticket, there is a 67% chance that your game will crash and you'll have to restart your run and buy another ticket. That's actually just by design, and it's because the Call of Duty developers know that you're still gonna buy another one anyway, and so long as they still mention stability improvements in every single one of their patch notes, you don't have a legal case to stand on that the game that you bought isn't in a fit enough state for you to refund it. So you're screwed. So just go with the flow here. But if your game doesn't crash, you can bring your ticket to the entrance of the castle. And this is the area where only one person can be in it on the planet at a given time. Once you enter the castle, there'll be a short cutscene here. And you can then enter the courtyard here, take a right, and then head all the way up the stairs. As you go, you'll see this statue, and you need to emote in front of that statue, and then just follow the path to this balcony area. Now, out there, Treyarch have said that there's a jump scare somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where it is. Maybe if you just lean into your screen here and take a good look, you might... Hi, guys! Also, there's a funny glitch just around this corner. If you come to this part of the map, and you look out of this window, you can actually see some holes in the map where the devs are still building it, and they haven't properly designed it. And I just think it's so funny that that's just so easy to spot, like such lazy devs, man. Now, as you go past that room, you'll enter this room with these two red pipes, and you need to twist both of those. That is going to turn off the hot water on the map, and that's what causes Gabriel Kraft to get out of his hot Lazarus shower that he's been bathing in for the last 80 years, keeping him alive for all this time. And then just keep following the little balconies here. Once you get into the museum room, which has all the balloons in it, and there's also some stone statues and stuff on the walls, you need to come over to this tomb and hold square on it to activate the... Once you get into the museum room, which has all the balloons in it, and there's also some stone statues and stuff on the walls, you need to come over to this tomb and hold square on it to activate the Sword of Sepsis, which is this map's wonder weapon. It'll do a little weapon inspect, and then you can head on to the next room. Now, as you go through the corridor, you're going to pass by these graves, and the game is automatically going to put you into an animation of pressing F to pay respects. And you've now unlocked this move, and you can spam it as much as you want. So I would really recommend just giving it a go and giving it a good spam in this room, especially if there's any members of the general public watching you, so you can really be observed while you do this. That's a good idea. And just be careful not to spam it too much, because you can break the animation, and that'll cause you to lose the wonder weapon for the rest of the game, so be careful. Also in this room, there are these cannons, and I know a lot of people think that the cannons are related to the Easter egg, but they're not, so just ignore those. And then head out onto the balcony. On the balcony, there's a stone slab, which we need to press F to pay respects on in order to pay our respects and complete an Easter egg step. And we'll actually be repeating this later in the quest as well. Now, if you look just to your side when you're on that slab, you should be able to see the castle in the distance and this chair in the middle of this clearing, but this isn't related to the Easter egg, so just ignore it. Keep following the balconies, and you'll eventually head up a set of stairs, and there's a little bit of a puzzle here, which you need to complete by just checking your corners and trying to find the right way out of the labyrinth. This is the skill check before we're introduced to this map's mini-boss. It's not Nathan this time, like Terminus, but it's actually Gabriel Craft himself, and the trick is that if you don't kill Gabriel Craft, and instead you press F to pay respects, he's gonna smile at you and allow you to pass, and you can just keep on going with the Easter egg quest. Now, the reason this works is because you've committed an act of pacifism on top of the castle ramparts, just like Lady Carcass did. And in her case, she shoved a pig off the side of the building, whereas you were the pig being the pacifist and solving the problem without violence. So that's why we've symbolically been the pig through this quest, but it actually doesn't end there. We're going to go back to Lady Carcass in just a second here. So exit the castle and head over to her statue and press F to pay respects. Then walk over to this second area and press F to pay respects in front of this statue or tomb. And then come around to the back of the castle and press F to pay respects just here. And then we're going to do it 2 more times. Once more in front of the small well that we activated before, and another time in front of the great well, which is the same place as the treasure Easter egg on this map. Then, with all that respect paid, come over to the basilica, and you'll automatically de-equip your weapon when you get there, because you're being respectful, obviously, and it's a holy site. And you then need to come over to this large bell in the corner and melee it 3 times. This is symbolic of Lady Carcass ringing the bell to say that she had bested Charlemagne, and Charlemagne's advisor saying Carcass son. And so at this point you have completed the legend and all the pieces are in place. Now if you want, you can go over to the pews here, and if you look underneath all of them, just like the loose change Easter egg, you can find 20 points. But the next thing to do is exit the basilica and then enter the castle grounds. The best way to make sure you're on the right track here is to look out for these concentric circles on the wall. Then when you see them, head around the little corner and step up onto the grassy path. Walk up to this bush, and when you get close to it, you'll automatically pull out the electrical power bank that we picked up before. Hold square on the tree and it will deposit the power bank, and you can then pull your weapon back out and melee the tree. Now, it's not going to work if you just melee it regularly, but if you do a charged attack, this will cause lightning to strike the tree will burst into flames, and this is a metaphor for the fact that, unlike the burning bush in the Bible, this bush is susceptible to fire damage if you stick a power bank in it and then stick a sword into that power bank. And this is an indicator that this living world that we inhabit and experience is already hell, rather than any kind of purgatory or similar belief that another Christian may have. The Cathars just didn't believe in that stuff, and we're living in the Cathars world in this map. Now, there are 2 steps remaining in the Easter egg. The first is to just walk along this path back towards the top of the hill that we were at previously, and while you walk, you're going to get a load of unskippable dialogue. But I'll just skip past that for you here. And then when you get to the car park, you need to make sure that you are ready for the boss. So make sure that you're fully geared up with all your perks, all your best weapons, etc., because you're definitely going to need them. When you're ready, follow me into the boss arena here. And can we just appreciate how amazing the design is? Like, Treyarch absolutely cooked with this one. I love it. So follow where I'm standing in the gameplay here and hold square to put your sword down. Remember, this is a pacifist run, and so we're not going to be using anything for the boss fight, and it all begins when you put your sword down. You'll notice when you do that, if you look at the ground, that you're taking damage and your character's going to start flinching, so you need to hop onto this little ledge. Your goal is then to work your way across the entire arena, and you're basically playing floor is lava, but there's a different method to get across each section. And just for this first section, I'm going to intentionally get it wrong, and you'll see that I take damage as I I go across and my character gets staggered, and I will not regen that health. So for you, you need to walk backwards for the first section. That's how you clear that. For the second section, crouch, crab walk, and take 6 steps. Once you counted those 6, do a 360, and then jump across all the way to the other side. There you go. For the next section, you need to do a jump off the platform and then sprint and then a jump at the end again to get back onto the platform. Then for the next section, it's going to be a rotating crab walk, as you can see I'm doing here. So one crab, turn, another crab, turn, etc. And once you've done your final crab over this yellow marker, you can just sprint across to the other side. And then for your final crossing, and this isn't quite the end of the Easter egg, but final crossing, go very slowly, as you can see. And then if you just stand there and jump on the spot, you'll show the game that you can be patient, and that will then allow you to just go across to the final side. Now, there's one step remaining, and we all know that Treyarch likes wipe mechanics, and this is where they put it in this map. So when you get to the final platform area, you need to teabag 10 times, and if you don't, you'll just automatically die. So just hit those teabags. It's a little tiring, but hit them. And then you can go over to the final podium and hold square on that to activate it. Your character will pass out, and then in real life, you'll snap out of this nonsense fever dream, and you'll be able to get back to playing Citadelle Day more and using my actual no-nonsense guide, which is linked on the screen right now. I'll see you there. Enjoy.